disaster recovery and business continuity. Now, this is not, again, solely on healthcare IT. This is any industry should have a disaster recovery plan. This is just good business practice. But when you're looking at disaster recovery, it's not just a replication of the data. And it's often thought of that, especially in healthcare IT, and it's often thought of some sort of a physical backup where things are backed up and then they're taken off site and they're stored for a couple of weeks so that they can then be pulled out of that archive in the case of some sort of an emergency. But some of these systems do need to be replicated, and most of these are the ones that are really key and required to take care of our patient population. So those would be like electronic medical records, the radiology information systems, pharmacy, PIS, and other tier 1 applications that have much more aggressive uptime requirements. The amount of time that somebody can be down from downtime, then they have to go back into and actually put the information back into the system from whenever they've retrieved that information. This business continuity, the business recovery, the disaster recovery, the contingency plans, again, not just the technical, but also things like electrical outages, water from floods, HVAC, or any kind of internal fire suppression that covers the data center, as well as that security breaches of the perimeter or the grounds or the actual facility. Not as big of a issue now, it seems, the physical security of data, as much as it is the cyber security of data. Nowadays, it seems like the attacks that we get are not somebody leaving a briefcase in a car that then gets taken, as much as somebody phishing or breaking in or hacking into a system to get PHI. Disaster recovery plan questions is, at the time of the outage, what applications do you prioritize? As we mentioned, patient care would be probably the primary prioritization. What is the tolerable RPO or RTO requirements for my critical applications? We don't just want, we want to recover from a time or from a point. So, and we'll get into those in just a moment. How do I back up my data today? Is it tape, storage area network, cloud? Is the backup network segmented to be prepared for failure? One of the things that we don't want to have is something that has a single point of failure. If there is a single point of failure, then that means at that point of failure, nothing works. So redundancy is going to be key to make sure, and segmentation to make sure that that doesn't happen. Again, do the applications require replication rather than just backup? Do we have to actually replicate the application itself? We could save the data, but if we don't have the application because it was corrupted, are we able to use that data? The consistent processes around change management to ensure testing and rollback scenarios. Sometimes what we look at is we make a change and then we roll back because there's an issue, we roll back to a previous installation of something. And you'll see that from time to time with like Windows or Microsoft Office, where it asks for a reset point. So when you do an update to Windows, it's not working, can you roll back to a previous state? And what does the non-healthcare IT staff do at the time of a disaster to keep the business running? And that would be basically anybody who's not in healthcare IT. So the clinicians, what are they doing to keep the business running? What are the people in registration, people in billing, what are they doing to help keep the organization running? So some of the disaster recovery terms that you're going to hear, DR, disaster recovery, HA, high availability. BC is going to be an important one. That's business continuity. And that's the defined set of planning related to activities that are intended to ensure that the organization's critical business functions continue to operate. That's very key. Those words are very key in healthcare because patients don't stop coming in. Patients don't stop being sick just because there's downtime. Business impact analysis, recovery point objective, and a recovery time objective. So what we're thinking of is which files, which programs do we have to have a recovery point? So at the age of the files that must be recovered from the backup, or the duration of time of service level which a business process must be restored after disaster. So is there a time objective that's that's associated with that. Some systems are much more critical than others and require a much smaller RTO. We're also looking at disaster avoidance, and this is part of that part of the plan of going through and making sure that we're doing our risk analysis and assessments, disaster recovery during disaster, as well as business continuity during a disaster. You want to make sure that that you're doing the things that you need to during the disaster while everyone's taking care of their patients. And of course, post-disaster, of how much time does it take to get back to quote-unquote normal operations.